own, like, I think at one point I had 15 neonatal kittens at my house.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily I had some roommates at the time that
I was gonna
kind of on
say.
board. Kind of. I got a lot of, I remember one roommate, like, went to my, like, the person that was, like, the landlord and was like, she needs to stop pooping kittens in the kitchen sink. That's disgusting. Welcome, everybody. This is our 4th episode of the Lifeline Podcast, and today we have Kathy Aven with us, who is our foster coordinator, head of our foster committee, and also on our board of directors. Thank you for joining us, Kathy.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So, like always, we have our list of questions we'll get into, but if we find a good avenue we want to talk more about, we can definitely do that. So, to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with Lifeline?
Well, I first became aware of Lifeline when you came out to ask if my company, U-Office, would help with the Getting Tipsy campaign last March.
Yeah.
I think we had a mutual friend that suggested to you that U-Office might be a good sponsor for that. And I was so excited to find out that there was a cat cafe and an adoption center like within 5 minutes of my office.
Yeah.
And so I started following you on Facebook and saw that I could come over and walk dogs on my lunch break. And we didn't have dogs in our life due to our schedules. And I thought, what a great way to do something great for the dogs and get out of my office and go walk the dogs. So started walking dogs, and from then just kind of became more and more familiar with Lifeline.
Awesome. I forgot about the Getting Tipsy thing. That's funny.
That
was our first start. And I remember I came in and, like, you had it after I gave you the stuff. I came in the next time and it was like all over the office. It was amazing.
Go big or go home, right?
I know.
If you're going to get on board with something, and I think that's probably what I've done with Lifeline. It's like, if you're going to get on board with something, you might as well get all the way on.
And that's exactly what happened. And thank you. I mean, we're much better for it now. So I'm excited. Okay. What drew you to, like, the fostering part, and how did you end up leading the foster committee?
Okay. So once I became familiar with Lifeline and started following on Facebook, my husband and I attended one of the yogas with puppies and kittens.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we didn't have any puppies, and so I'm thinking, oh, puppies, let's go. And I think there I mentioned to you that I might be open to fostering some baby bottle-fed kittens, because that was something I could contain and it wouldn't be a problem with my other cats. And just kind of mentioned it in passing. And I think 2 days later, you called me up and you asked me if I would like to take 2 babies. And so I did. So had no idea what I was getting into.
Look at those little beans.
I idea what I was doing. But I fell in love with the babies. I fell in love with fostering, and I fell in love with Lifeline and everything that Lifeline does. And so I have lots of opinions and a lot of ideas. I think being a first-time foster, seeing with fresh eyes, I came to you and drove you crazy with my questions and with my ideas. And I think finally you thought the way to shut me up was to put me to work. And or maybe you just like some of the ideas I had. Yes. And so you asked me to take the role and kind of run with it. And
that's what she did, folks. That's what she did in a beautiful way. We just had our first foster huddle this past weekend, and it was amazing. We had all of our fosters, like reoccurring fosters from last year. A lot of them joined us, and so many good ideas. And we were just talking before this that I was so impressed with, like, how much our fosters are willing and able to do more than I could have even imagined. So cool.
We have a wonderful foster base, and you and I have talked about before that people who are into animal rescue are very passionate.
Absolutely.
It's a passion. It's a love. You love animals. And what happened was exactly what I was hoping would happen, is that we would get these people together in a room and they would all start talking about it, and we would be able to see just exactly how passionate and committed that they are to the animals. And they did not disappoint.
Not at all.
Amazing people.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Okay, we'll just keep going right along. You done a bit of everything in the organization. What's been the most rewarding so far?
Okay, this is probably the easiest question of all. So usually when I come to the adoption center, whether I'm helping restock the cat cafe or hanging out in the uh, cleaning kennels, helping with the cleaning or straightening up the pet boutique, I really don't try to interact much with the cats.
Uh-huh.
I'll talk silly to them when I'm cleaning their kennel, but I really try not to connect because I'm not gonna lie, I would take them all home. I'm a sucker. So one day I was cleaning kennels and there was this cat, and he was just bound and determined to get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I was over here and he was hollering at me, and I was over there and he was hollering at me. And so he was all alone in his kennel. And I went over and I took him out, and this cat, Caroline, he just melted into my arms, and he was just purring, and he was just soaking up all the pets, and he was just loving it. And he's Bubba. And so
He's Bubba.
It's Bubba. And I love the little black tips on his ears.
Yeah.
So I was talking to him, and I'm like, well, aren't you a friendly little guy? You need a friend in this cage with you. Like, you need a pal. And that's when Chris said, oh, that's Bubba. He has to be by himself because he tested positive for feline leukemia.
Mm-hmm.
And my heart just broke.
Yeah.
Because he was so friendly and he was all alone. And I thought, never mind that he's already, kind of gotten this bad deal with the feline leukemia,
mm-hmm.
but he still deserves quality of life.
Yeah.
And it just made me so sad to think that, he was all alone when he just really wanted like interaction. So you and I talked about it, and I found out about another organization in Houston that has really kind of takes on the special need cats.
Yeah.
And they have a room specifically for the cats that have feline leukemia because they've all got it. They can't catch it from each other. And I worked with you and with Friends for Life in Houston to get him transferred into their program.
Yeah.
And so this is the day that I took him up there, and I was kind of not only telling him goodbye because I checked in on him a few more times over the next couple of weeks, but it was everything I would want for him. He was in a room. They are so knowledgeable about feline leukemia, and I thought, man, if this little cat lives out the rest of his days in this room, he's still going to be happy because he's going to have friends, and he's going to be able to play and get loved on and get treats. And if anything goes south with his health, like, it's going to be attended to.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be very, very careful with you not to say that, oh, he's in a better place, because, Lifeline is a great place.
Yeah, we don't have a feline leukemia program. We're not there yet.
That was the fact that he was in a better place.
Yeah.
And they were wonderful, and I felt so good about it. And I'll be doggone if not right before Christmas, because I kept checking on him,
Yeah.
But right before Christmas, he was adopted.
Yeah.
And that was so amazing. That was so rewarding because I had a hand in getting him there. But that wasn't the end of the story. Just a few weeks ago, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I'm checking out Lifeline like I do, and I saw that 2 other kittens came from Lifeline and went. So now I feel like it's Bubba's legacy. We kind of started something, and there's all these other cats that test positive for feline leukemia will have an opportunity for finding their homes, and that's been very rewarding to me to have had a part in.
Yeah,
in
and you stayed in that. We were able to transfer Darian and Shawn Michaels, and I got to go out there and experience and chat with them, and that was amazing. They have an amazing facility and program out there, and they were telling me how well Bubba's doing, that the adopter was constantly reaching out to them, sharing updates about Bubba. So amazing. And yeah, you definitely had a huge role. And for anybody who doesn't know, feline leukemia, it's one of the tougher diseases that cats can have, and probably up until like 5-10 years ago, mostly would just be euthanized. Still today, a lot of cats are euthanized as soon as they test positive for feline leukemia. So the ability to transfer them into such a great program is awesome. There's not a lot of feline leukemia programs, so you did your due diligence and found a really good one in Houston. And yeah, I'm really grateful for you for that too, because it created another resource for us.
And for the cats, every cat is special.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one any more special than the others. But you can't help have your heart really go out to those who they have challenges.
Yeah.
And issues, because already chances are, they're going to have shorter lives. So you almost want to make their quality of life better.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome.
So good. Love Bubba. Great. Okay. Neonatal Kittens are one of our strongest programs, but they're also incredibly fragile. Can you share what it's like to bottle feed a kitten, and the challenges that come with that?
Well, it's just one challenge after another for about 8 weeks from, just they're so fragile. And then you've got 8 weeks of just insanity, one thing after another, whether it's keeping them warm or the around the clock every 2-hour feeding, to just all of it. You're sleep deprived, and you just don't know. But it's very much worth it. The thing is that what often happens is a good-hearted, well-meaning person will come across some kittens, that they think are abandoned because they don't see the mom. And so they think, oh, I'm going to rescue these kittens. And they mean well. But what they don't realize is that almost always the mom is not far away. And these kittens, unless they are in a truly unsafe environment, instinct counts for a lot. And that mother has most likely placed them someplace safe, and she's probably doing a really good job of taking care of them. Yeah. The minute we take them away, we lose all of that, and it goes into human hands. And they're on, formula from the store, which is not the same as mother's milk. And you have humans who don't have those instincts like the mother has to get them what they need. And not getting the mother's milk, they're not getting all the antibodies and this sort of thing. So what's meant to be like a heroic act is actually taking these kittens and putting them in a very dangerous situation that many of them just don't survive. And so that's kind of the thing about neonates is we get them and now we have them. So we do the very best we can with them. Mm-hmm. But I just wish more people would understand that sometimes it's best just to leave them where they are and keep an eye and make sure that they're okay.
Right.
But they don't necessarily need intervention.
That's such a good point. A lot of them don't, and that's one of the biggest things that we can educate people on is make sure you're watching and waiting to see if a mom comes back. And then the other big thing I don't think a lot of people know is neonatals have a very high mortality rate in general. That is one of the reasons that cats have so many kittens, if we're going into evolution, is because they don't have a high survival rate. So yes, the best thing is for them to stay with mom, and then once we get them, it's hard. It's an uphill battle. It's kind of I was telling somebody about this because we see neonatal deaths even when we try our best to save them, and I think we'll talk about that later. But with that, it's like, man, I just lost my train of thought. I don't know where.
That's okay. While you're thinking of it, I'll show some cute pictures of some kittens sucking from bottles.
Yes.
Yeah. If you have to bring them in, and take care of them, there really isn't anything a whole lot cuter.
There is not much.
Just, I mean, there is. They really are so cute, and these are back to the ones that I was fortunate enough to have as my first little babies, but. There's a thing that they often do that I was not aware of, and this is just one of the funny, you talk about challenges, this is just kind of one of the funny things is it's affectionately referred to as I want to kill my bottle. And it is the fighting, and Buster was the worst. You would put the bottle in his mouth, everything's perfectly fine, it was all exactly as it should be, but just the fact that it was a bottle, I mean, he was a crazy man. Yeah. And I didn't include it in these pictures, but some of the later pictures you'll see I'm wearing an oven mitt.
You mean the battle scars?
Yeah. Yes. I started having to hold the bottle with an oven mitt because, I mean, he was crazy. But I he was just so desperate to
They're just,
they
that.
just don't know, but it's not natural. It's not mom.
Yeah.
And so they know that, and that can be
So
really
true.
tough sometimes.
Definitely. And I did remember, so where I was going with that is like newborn babies, if they're premature or really any newborn baby, we have these NICUs, these neonatal intensive care units for human babies. And it's very similar with like kittens. They need that same high level of care to survive. So I would love someday to have a kitten NICU or something like that, but it's tough. The neonatals are hard, but they deserve our support. And that leads into the next question of losing kittens is one of the hardest parts of fostering. You've experienced this firsthand, including losing one to panleukopenia. How did you process that, and how do you cope, or what advice would you give to others going through that?
It's always really hard because when you take these babies in, the weight of the responsibility is very heavy, and you're very committed, and you feel like you have these little lives in your hands, because you do. And then you go into sleep deprivation, so you're not even really thinking rationally anymore. But then if one doesn't make it, the first thing you do is second guess everything you did. What could I have done more of? What did I do wrong? But other fosters will be very quick to tell you and remind you that that kitten had no chance at all until it landed in your hands. And anything you did gave it more of a chance.
Yeah.
And someone wise, when I first started fostering neonates, someone very, very wise told me, you know what, Kathy, sometimes they just don't make it. I think she was trying to prepare me for the worst. But the thing is, the ones that don't, at least they had a name. They went with a full belly and warm.
They're warm.
And they knew love.
Yeah.
And you still have to try, even if they don't make it. And I'll tell you, panleukopenia is the worst. A little bit about what I've learned a lot about panleukopenia. It is kind of the demon disease for me because it is highly contagious. It's also known as feline distemper or feline parvovirus. And it can be transmitted through bodily fluids, through fleas, oftentimes from the mother in utero, and really on surfaces. Once it's been in your house, it can live in your home environment for over a year. So it almost always means death, even when it's treated, which the treatment for it is a big deal, as you know, because you've gone through that. But oftentimes it doesn't work because it is such a highly contagious disease, and it's such a severe disease that it's just almost fatal. And that is one of the reasons why I looked it up. It's something like the second leading cause of unvaccinated cats and kittens, right behind rabies. And so it's everywhere. But vaccinations are very, very important. We had a kitten, like you mentioned, Taffy.
I know. I said I see Taffy on that picture.
Taffy, she was very. I did not have her for very long, and she came and was with you for a while too.
Yeah.
She had lots of personality, but she, after she was in my home, we cleaned and did everything like we felt like we should. But we also said that we're not going to have any fosters, unvaccinated fosters, for the year to be safe. And all of my resident cats were vaccinated. So we did a good job cleaning, but we felt like they were safe. And a few months later, Buster, my little orange kitten, fully vaccinated, should have been safe, he developed panleukopenia. And I was terrified because I'd lost one, and like I said, it's the demon disease for me. But for him, it was kind of like with humans and the flu shots. You're still going to get the flu, but it's not going to be as bad.
Yeah.
And so he was sick for a few hours, and we got him treatment, and he recovered fine. All the difference that the vaccinations make.
Amazing. It's a really good reminder to everybody why it's important to vaccinate, particularly if you're going to foster. Yeah, but I mean, it's tough to lose one. It is tough.
It's very tough. It is the heartbreak of it all.
And I think like what you were saying, because I've personally lost kittens, and I've spoke to a lot of people right after it happens. And you're right. The one thing that I think I almost have a little script in my head of like what to say. And it's, you didn't do anything wrong. Do the best you can. They died happy and loved and warm and with a full belly. But it's heartbreaking. I mean, people just take it so personally, and that's why I always like lead with high mortality rate. Even if you do everything right, and even when they're with their mom, it's still a relatively high mortality rate.
Yes, exactly. We just don't know. We don't see
exactly.
that. We only see it when we're holding them, and it is a tough thing. It is a very helpless feeling. But that's another thing we talked about with the challenges of neonates is veterinary care, because a couple of things. First of all, vets don't know a whole lot about, most vets, even the best ones, don't know a whole lot about neonatal veterinary science. And then they also do know that if there's a problem before the 8 weeks, chances are it's a problem that you're not going to be able to solve. And so vets don't hold out a whole lot of optimism for that.
Good point.
And also, you're talking about kittens that are under 8 weeks. Even to take them into the vet, they're not vaccinated yet. So you're exposing them to anything that might be in that vet office. So anything medically that is an issue for a neonate, you really don't have very many options other than
true.
Love them.
And that's why I love there's a lot of new research on neonatal kittens. Austin Pets Alive, I've talked to you a lot about them. They have one of the strongest neonatal programs in the country, and they've led a lot of the research in the past 10 to 15 years. So I'm really excited to see what the next 10, 15 years holds for neonatal kittens and the more that we can do for them. And I hope that Lifeline can, be a part of having really strong program for that, because
we're off to a good start.
Yeah. Hopefully. Yes. Okay. That leads into, what changes or improvements do you want to see in the neonatal kitten program?
More education and just more training so that fosters do sort of know more about risks and precautions that they need to take, and be able to recognize any potential problems as soon as possible and take action. Some of the things we've talked about is training our fosters in the administration of the sub-Q fluids. That's the sort of thing that if you start that really early, it can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And it's not really going to cause any problems if they don't need it, but it can really help with a whole lot of issues. Just getting some, because just like human babies, neonate kittens can dehydrate very, very quickly. So if there's anything going on with them, with diarrhea, vomiting, anything that is going to cause
upper respiratory, means they're not eating well,
that is causing them to dehydrate, that is what can really make the difference. And it's a relatively simple procedure. And so things like that, just having more training and more resources and more
tools in your tool belt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like to see. And one of the things that we are kicking off is a foster mentorship program. And we've talked a lot about that. And that is something that will be really, really helpful, because the fosters who are more inexperienced will have someone that has more experience that they can go to, even if it's just to say, hey, does this poop look normal to you? Let me show you this picture, because I'm a little worried. Yeah. And because kitten poop can really vary.
So true.
But tell so much about what's going on in that little kitten. It's important.
Yeah, it is important. I love that. And where I came to it from neonatal. So the first time I ever experienced neonatal kittens was at the county shelter. It was my first year as the foster coordinator, and they kept coming in. I had no idea what I was doing. I took home I think at one point I had 15 neonatal kittens at my house.
Oh my gosh.
Luckily I had some roommates at the time that
was
kind of on board. Kind of. I got a lot of, I remember one roommate went to my the person that was the landlord and was like, she needs to stop pooping kittens in the kitchen sink. That's disgusting.
But where else are you going to do that?
I know. I'm like, walking around sleep deprived. And there was very little access to resources that I had at that point as well. And so it was terrible, to be honest with you. It was so sad. And I'm really excited to now be able to have a program specially designed for them where we can offer the type of support that's really required to be successful. And also I don't want to like depress any of our fosters. I mean, it's hard.
Right.
Life is hard and like tough things happen. I get that, but like we talked about in the foster huddle, like having a grief support group, and I don't know, that just it makes me so happy to like see where we've come, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the neonatal program, and I'm excited to have you on board because like I told you earlier, you're very good at coordinating and making things happen. Okay. Where are we at? Let's see. Let's move to our foster program has different subgroups. We have the neonatal kittens, moms with babies, and then our dogs. What area do you think we need the most growth or improvement?
Well, that almost feels like it's saying which one's most important, and they're all important. And one thing that we saw with our foster huddle is that people are passionate about what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
Someone will tell you very quickly, oh, I do dogs, I don't do cats. And they're animal lovers. Of course, they care about the cats, but dogs are their specialty.
Has done some stuff for some cats, I can tell you for sure.
Because animal lovers are animal lovers. But I think that that the additional training and support and the foster mentorship program will definitely benefit all of those areas.
Yeah.
I think probably the area that may need the most growth would be with our dogs.
Right.
Simply because we don't have the space at the adoption center for them, making them a little more challenging. So that means that those fosters have to do a little more with marketing those dogs and being willing to come and do meet and greets, because, that's the thing is if someone's interested in that dog, that foster now has a responsibility of making sure that they take the time to come and bring the dog up there at a specific time to meet with the potential adopter. And so that program probably needs a little more tweaking just to make it a little easier on everyone all around.
I would 100% agree. And my main thing is like we got to figure out how to get the dogs adopted faster, because nobody wants a dog sitting with them long term and they get attached really easily. Yeah. I mean, that's really for cats as well, but having the facility where they can come into has really helped with that. So
I agree.
Awesome. What are some barriers that prevent people from fostering? How can we address them?
Well, getting attached. People are afraid they'll get attached.
You're right. That was like the biggest thing at that meeting.
Well, it is. And, the thing is, I remember when I had these Buster and Gizzy, I started getting really irritated with my friends who would say, you're not going to be able to give them up. Because that's like feeding that negative,
Yes.
So stop saying that. I'm really working hard on wrapping my mind around the fact that, I'm getting them ready for adoption. And when you do that, that's harmful.
Yeah.
But here are some things to think about with the whole getting attached thing. So I understand it. I do, because, this is
Buster and Gizzy now.
Buster and Gizzy at my house now. They are our babies. They have their own room. They're totally foster fail. It was the best failure of my life, I have to tell you. But at the same time, there's something to be said for, how often do you hear people say, oh, puppies and kittens are so cute? They don't stay puppies and kittens for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the great thing about fostering is you can have just kittens or just puppies and never have to have the lifetime commitment to, that pet forever.
Yeah.
And so, you trade one kitten in for another kitten and just keep the kittens going. And so that definitely is an advantage. And you also don't have the commitment with fostering like you do have with a pet. You go on vacation. You don't have to worry about boarding the animal. You don't have the expense. A lot of people don't really know what their finances are going to be like 2, 3, 4 years from now. How often do we see people who have great intentions when they get a pet, but a short time later they have to rehome because life circumstances have changed?
Right.
So the benefit of that is you can have a pet in your life without the commitment of long term. So that's overcoming that. People talk about, well, I'm allergic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you know that kittens produce less allergens than adult cats?
I did not know that.
And because it's in the saliva, oftentimes with an adult cat, you're allergic because the cat's groomed, so their saliva is all over them, and that's what you're coming in contact with that you're allergic to. But because kittens aren't really grooming yet, There's not that.
Yeah.
So if you like cats, but you're allergic, well, then just have some neonate kittens and you're not going to have so much of an issue. People talk about space. I don't have the space. Well, when you're talking about a temporary thing, especially if it's a very small cat or dog, I mean, look at the adoption center. Cats live in the cat condos and things, so you don't really need a lot of space. And I've known
Yeah.
people who fostered huge litters and nothing other than just a bathroom in their small one-bedroom apartment. So, some people are afraid of taking on that commitment. But that's another goal that I have, is that it's not necessarily an 8-week commitment. We need fosters who are just willing to keep the kittens for a few days, maybe give someone a break, or until we can find another foster, or whatever the case may be. We're grateful for the help any way we can get it, even if it's just for a few days.
Yeah, and I mean, we have our sleepover programs. Those are good for dogs too. That's like a really short-term option for people if they just want to kind of dip their toe in. And I think reframing it as like fostering is a hobby. It's a hobby that you can join in on. It's like some people like to fish. Some people like to foster kittens.
That's right. That's right. And the cost is much cheaper than fishing or golfing or anything like that, because Lifeline covers the cost of everything that is needed. Now, a lot of our fosters are that they do take care of the cost of that, because they see that as just another way they support Lifeline.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about at the foster huddle, is we're like, I buy the food. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
But it's not required. I mean, it's not something anyone would have to do. We will provide everything for that.
And I think that's like us building the infrastructure to really support our fosters so that it is a good experience. And that's what I would say if anybody is interested in fostering and have some questions, like come try it out, come do a sleepover, just dip your toe in and see if it might be something you're interested in. And then know that like us as an organization, we're really trying to build something that you are proud to be a part of, that you want to be a part of, that supports you in the ways that it needs to support you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And come to a foster huddle up and just meet some of the fosters and just
March
talk
9th.
to them. March 9th is our next one. So absolutely. Come hang out at the Cat Cafe and just kind of get a vibe of the organization and see if that's something you'd like to do. You can do the sleepovers. You can do just temporary short-term fostering, but anything helps.
Anything helps. That's for sure. Okay. Okay, you're incredibly creative and always willing to do whatever it takes to help. Can you share some of your most out of the box ideas and solutions that you've come up with in your time with Lifeline?
Well, I don't know if it was really a solution, but it was fun.
Yes.
So we had our Halloween party, and
this is amazing. Yes.
So I was looking for just an inflatable cat to put out on the street to get attention at our adoption events, but all I could come up with was the inflatable costumes.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, why the heck not? So it was rainy. It was a rainy Halloween, if you remember. And
I do.
It was just kind of nasty, and people were kind of bummed about that. But I'm standing out there waving and hopping up and down and acting a fool. I got a lot of honks. And, if nothing else, I think it made some people smile that day.
It made me smile. I remember I had a terrible phone call right before you came in. And then you came in with that cat thing on, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you.
It freaked a few of the cats out too.
It did freak some of the cats
out. Okay. That's okay.
I love that. Okay, great. And then we kind of covered that. If people can't foster, what are some other ways they can support the foster program?
Oh, there's just lots of ways. If you have pets, come shop at the Pet Boutique.
Mm-hmm.
That is something we have at the Adoption Center that is new and gently used pet supplies that have been donated. And we sell them for like pennies on the dollar, what it would cost you. I mean, for example, you go to PetSmart and buy a dog collar, and they're like $15, and ours are priced like $2. And they're brand new with tags on them and a big selection. You can save a whole lot of money on some of your pet supplies and help us out, because those were donations. It's 100% donation to us, and that helps. We also have the Cat Cafe, which is kind of cool. You can come in, you can have a snack or some coffee and soda, water, and you can hang out with the cats. This is another cool thing for people who say your spouse, your children are allergic, so you can't have a cat, but on your lunch break, you could come over and have coffee with a cat and enjoy the time there.
Yes.
Donations are always appreciated for our foster program, and transportation. But, really, even just following Lifeline on Facebook and sharing our posts, because even if you can't foster, some of your friends may be able to. So just letting people know about us and let them know what we do and just kind of getting that word out there. Anything helps.
Beautiful answer. I love that. Yes. Okay. And then where do you see the foster program in a year? What are some of the goals you'd love us to accomplish this year?
I'm really excited about the foster mentorship program. I think that we got a lot of excitement about that from our more experienced fosters. And I think it's amazing because it's going to help in so many ways, from just reducing the amount of calls back to the staff with questions where they could go to a mentor. Fosters are not going to feel out there on their own. If they don't know how to do something or they have a question about something, they're going to feel supported. It's going to offer communication and follow-up and just lots of great things. And again, we got a lot of excitement about that. So I think that's going to be help in so many different areas, just getting our more experienced volunteers in on being that resource for newer people.
Yeah, I think the mentorship program is gonna do wonders. I'm excited for that too. And then we're getting to the end here. What's one piece of advice you'd give to a new foster, especially someone who's considering maybe doing neonatal kittens?
Get all the information that you can, learn all the skills that you can, then kind of just go with your gut. It's like almost like a mother's instinct. Sometimes, you're going to hear a lot of different ways that the same thing can be accomplished. Just like you have parents, so you have helicopter parents and you have kind of free roaming parents and different philosophies, and they're all great. If you just love them and kind of do what feels right, most often that's going to be the right answer. And just enjoy it. I mean, they're kittens and puppies and they're adorable, and just enjoy it. It's a great thing. It's very rewarding.
It is. Great. How can people connect with you or get involved with fostering through Lifeline?
So you can go to the website. Gosh, I hope I got these right, Caroline. Tell me, you're going to correct me.
You're good. I can.
But the website is lifelinetx.org.
Yes.
Or if you're particularly interested in getting foster information, you can email me at foster@lifelinetx.org. Or you can visit. We are located at 100 East NASA Parkway, Suite 55 in Webster. And the adoption center is open Tuesday through Sunday, noon to 6. Stop by and have a soda. Or
yes, we opened back up for that last hour again. Noon to 7.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
That's great. So a little extra time there at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So come by, just love on some cats. People think, I don't want to adopt, but I just want to pet some cats. That is awesome. Those cats love it. They need all the love they can get. So no pressure.
Come into the adoption center. Yes. Just walk in and then we'll get you set up with something.
Yeah. Just mention that you might be able to take some neonate kittens and see what Caroline does with that. Exactly.
Okay, I love that. And then since you manage U Office, which generously sponsors our cat cafe, can you share a bit about U Office, what they offer, and then how people can connect with the business, including maybe your socials and website?
Sure, of course. So U Office Executive Suites is a space for people who need just an office, or maybe just a desk, or just an address for their business. We have private offices, co-working spaces, virtual meeting rooms for, I think you used one of those for a conference call, sort of a thing, and just space. And we are a small company. We only have 2 locations. One is in the Post Oak Galleria area, and one is in the Webster area. We run our business with flexibility and hospitality that you're just going to find with a small business. And our owner is very much an animal lover and supports all this very much. So I don't have to try very hard to ask her if I can spend some money doing something at Lifeline, because that's almost like I should get a raise because I thought of that or something, because she's so happy with the idea of that. So it's great to have that kind of support, as well as other passions that our our members are into. We love to support whatever anyone's passionate about. And so that's something you're only going to find with a small company.
Yeah.
But we are at www.uofficesuites.com. Our phone number is 832-932-5165. And again, we have 2 locations, one in Webster and one in the Galleria Uptown area. And we also are on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, I just want to add, U-Office has been such a big support to our organization, and you're so on point with like the hospitality that you will receive if you use any of their services, because I go in there often and there's snacks and there's coffee, and it's just very welcoming and inviting, makes you want to get some work done. So
The best thing is, we don't nickel and dime. All that is included. We just really want to support small businesses and being successful.
yeah.
And I'm not going to worry about how many cups of coffee you drank this week and try to charge you. It's just all included. It's just all part of it, even when it's homemade cookies or something really special. So, yeah,
Cheesecake bites.
It's a great place. Leftovers from, a foster huddle up meeting.
Yes.
Everybody was loving on that too.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this and for all that you do for Lifeline and for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys. See you later.